I've been using the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra for a while now, and I gotta say, this is the best Android phone that you can get your hands on. In this video, I want to give you my 2 cents worth. I'll tell you all about the pros and cons, and let's start with the design. This year, Samsung decided to merge two of its best phones, the S and the Note series, into one. Honestly, I don't even think this should be called the S series anymore. This is actually a Note in disguise. It's like Samsung decided to cancel the S series last minute and just slap the Note moniker on this phone. This is a Galaxy Note disguised as an S phone. Maybe this phone has an identity crisis because since it's called an S phone, it's an S22 Ultra, it should have retained, in my opinion, the rounded edges. Now, I understand that because it has this S Pen, it's supposed to resemble a book, but I loved the Galaxy S21 Ultra's design. And this way, you'd get the best of both worlds without looking like a Note doppelganger with an S label. However, I'm starting to fall in love with this design too. I mean, it's a Note, and Notes are powerful. Now, I may not be a fan of the boxy shape here, but I love the features and the performance of this phone. And the best feature that this phone has to offer, of course, is the S Pen. And to all of you out there that say that this may not be very useful, or maybe this is just for people that want to draw or graphic designers, please. I use it every day, and man, the latency is unbelievable. It's almost like real time. It's been reduced from 9 milliseconds to 2.8 milliseconds, and the AI detects where you're going to place your stylus next, which makes it incredibly smooth. The reason why I mentioned the S Pen as one of the most important factors for this phone is because no other phone right now offers this kind of versatility. We're not just talking about creating notes like this where you write down someone's number or you draw something. There's much more to that, and I want to show you what I mean by this. So for example, if you draw something, let's say you're taking a note. First of all, it's extremely responsive, 2.8 milliseconds. Object detection that was first introduced on the iPad is now available on the Galaxy. So for example, if I do this, it's going to detect this as a triangle. If I do this, it's going to detect it as a circle. If I do this, it's going to detect it as a star. So you will be able to build very nice looking graphics immediately. So whatever you want to write, it's going to look really nice. And it's so convenient when you want to erase something by just pressing on the button again, and that erases it. How cool is that? And since I lost my S Pen with the Galaxy S21 Ultra in a restaurant, I just used the S Pen in the restaurant and I lost it. I forgot the S Pen on the table and never found it again. This, first of all, houses the S Pen, so the chances of losing this thing are much less. And let's say that you took it out of the thing and then you left it somewhere, and then the phone screen was turned off and you walk away, you're going to get a warning message. So it tells you, it alerts you that your S Pen is not with you anymore. And that is really incredible. Another awesome feature is Translate. And this really surprised me. I mean, this is incredible. Try Translate. Now here, it shows you that you can translate a single word and you can select the language, whatever the language is. Let's say I want to translate this word right here. Simply just point at the word and you're going to get the translation. And to make things even better, if you point at the word and then tap this, robust, it's going to read it out to you. And not only that, if I tap this here, you can translate the entire paragraph. So if I just point at this, it can detect a paragraph. I can even enlarge it to have more text. And there you go. So you get the translation in a second in another language. You can also read it if you want.
Content creation and graphic design, durable, robust.
Another cool S Pen feature that I really liked is something called Magnify. So if you want to magnify, let's say a small image, an icon or something, just tap Magnify, and now you have a magnifying glass. That is really cool. You know, I used to take a screenshot of the picture or whatever it is that I'm looking at to magnify it, and then I used to enlarge it. Now I don't need to do that anymore. I just use the magnifying glass. Speaking of the back design, Samsung stripped away the rectangular camera housing that was here, and now the lenses are protruding elegantly, if I may add. It looks better, but I still I still love last year's model as well. The problem with this model, however, similar to last year's model, is the wobble. And if you watch my previous videos, you know that I always like to put a cover on all of my phones. This is a Spigen cover, the Tough Armor, my favorite cover that I buy every year. It comes with a kickstand. One of the reasons that this cover is really important, especially for this phone, is that it will eliminate all the wobble. This phone comes with two processors, the Snapdragon and the Exynos. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, which is a very powerful processor, and Samsung's own Exynos 2200. Now, both chips are based on the 4nm architecture, and they offer enhancements compared to last year's model. Now let's have a look at some of the CPU and GPU benchmarks from Android Authority, and let's start with Geekbench 5 results. The iPhone 13 Pro Max with its A15 Bionic is still the most powerful, followed by Qualcomm's processors. However, this year's Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 and Exynos 2200 can be seen here as well. As expected, according to Android Authority, there's not a lot of difference between the new chips in the CPU department. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 edges it on single-core performance, but does not perform quite well in multi-core, according to the Geekbench 5 results. Now, according to Android Authority as well, perhaps more surprising and worrying is that neither chipset seems to offer much in the way of a CPU performance uplift over the previous generation. Android Authority says that while the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 provides some additional single-core grunt, its multi-core scores lag behind the Snapdragon 888. On the GPU side, there's a clear lead for the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 with its Adreno 730. Benchmark scores eclipse previous gen models in every test by as much as 70% in some scenarios. Android Authority says that Qualcomm's latest GPU appears to have closed the gap on Apple's GPU advantage too. The Exynos 2200 and its new RDNA graphics, which I was very impressed with. I mean, there was a lot of hype. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be that impressive, even though they still support notable gains over last-gen chipsets as well. Although the new GPU is up to 25% faster than the previous gen Mali setup in some of the tests, it offers a more modest 15% uplift in more demanding benchmarks. Unfortunately, the chip can't catch Apple's lead as well. To sum up what Android Authority said here, there's not much of a difference between this generation and last year's generation when it comes to CPU performance, but the real gains are in the GPU department. In my experience with everyday usage and testing, the performance is great. However, you feel with Apple's phones, there's that smoothness factor. And now it could be an Android issue, and this issue has been there for many, many years, but there's still that little slight jerkiness or choppiness with Android animations. You can't see it here right now, but sometimes you'll feel micro stutters with gesture navigations, or even when scrolling pages on the web browser or on your news feed in apps, which is still disappointing for me, especially that the phone has powerful hardware. Android still suffers from stuttering and choppy animations. Overall, Apple's iPhone devices are still smoother in general, but that in no way undermines the performance of this phone. It's still a beast, it's powerful, it's fast. However, iPhones have perfected the smooth animations, and just the experience on the iPhone is still far smoother than that on the Galaxy. With that being said, I still love how faster the scrolling is on the Galaxy devices. I mean, check it out. You can see it right here. On the iPhone, it's a little bit slower, but that doesn't mean that it's choppy. It's just slower in scrolling. With the Galaxy device, you can scroll much faster than with the iPhone, which means that you can finish reading or scrolling through an entire vertical page much faster than that on the iPhone, which I love. Now let's talk a little bit about the screen. The screen is increased in width at 77.9 millimeters compared to 75.6 millimeters from the previous generation, and you can feel that instantly once you pick up the wider phone. My S21 Ultra feels like the way I used to look in the university. I was super thin. And the S22 Ultra feels like the wider, not fatter version of me. Thank you very much. I think this is a welcome upgrade, the fact that it's wider now. Now, I always used to feel that the iPhone 13 Pro Max, because it had a wider screen, even the previous iPhone versions, they felt better for me to look at. And now, since this is wider than the S21 Ultra, it feels better as well. A wider phone is more convenient to look at, but can become unwieldy if you have small hands. Yet, keep in mind that Samsung's phones are taller than Apple's. The Galaxy S22 Ultra has a cinematic 19.3:9 screen ratio for an immersive viewing experience. There are significant improvements with a QHD Plus Dynamic AMOLED 2X display at an immersive 6.8 inches and 120Hz LTPO screen with an enhanced variable refresh rate that drops all the way to 1. 16% more brightness, and a 3 million to 1 contrast ratio. You'd get the best technology on any phone right now. You're also looking at a 240Hz touch sampling rate found on many other devices. Samsung introduced a vision booster technology that intelligently adjusts not only the brightness throughout the day, but also the contrast and color, especially under direct sunlight. It can do this through an AI algorithm and a peak brightness of a massive 1750 nits. So when you're outdoors in the glare of bright sunlight, your screen is much more viewable. However, more important than buttery smooth animations is the powerful Samsung Knox Vault security platform, which includes a secure processor and memory that completely isolates sensitive data like your passwords, biometrics, or blockchain keys from the phone's main operating system. And speaking of security and biometrics, I really like Samsung's Fingerprint Reader. It reminds me of iPhone's Face ID, and it's very convenient, especially when using apps or Safari, for example, for filling out the details, auto-completing your details, login details on Safari. The same thing now is available for Android. I used to suffer with other Android phones out there, but now this has it. Samsung was able to achieve what Apple achieved with Face ID, but with their biometric fingerprint scanner. So now you can log into websites, you can download apps, you can even pay with the biometric security that Apple already offers. I think with Apple, it's just perfect with their Face ID, and also on their Macs, very useful. But now I'm hooked on Samsung's biometric security as well. Facial recognition on the Galaxy S21 Ultra was not secure and could be fooled with a still image. Are you kidding me right now? It's unlocked. Keep in mind that the Galaxy S22 Ultra can also be fooled, much like its predecessor. Samsung even goes one step further by providing the already existing option of completely disabling your camera and microphone until you authorize access again. This is very, very useful for the ultimate privacy, but the option already exists on the Galaxy S21 Ultra. This is also great news from Samsung, and it shows that the company is heading towards the right trajectory. Samsung announced that it now supports up to 4 generations of Android OS updates. This is great news for Android guys because, well, iPhone offers updates, has always offered updates for 5 years. So this is a great investment if you have an iPhone. Support for Android was not that great, but now Samsung promised 4 years of updates. So now this is becoming equivalent to this in terms of support. Now let's talk a little bit about the camera. Although the camera hardware on the S22 Ultra is identical to the S21 Ultra, camera performance is perhaps the biggest improvement for this phone this year. Main enhancements include a big pixel sensor, super clear glass and lens, detail enhancer, auto frame rate, super night solution, and adaptive pixel. Samsung says that the S22 Ultra's camera produces a vivid 108 megapixel image using a remosaic algorithm to remap pixels into a conventional RGB pattern. It uses adaptive pixel technology to merge multiple frames into one. It combines a detailed 108 megapixel image with a non-binning 12 megapixel image with more light, and this provides crisper resolution throughout the day. Pixel binning is the act of combining multiple pixels into one, and for the S22 Ultra, it's 9 pixels combined into a singular large pixel. Simply put, Nana means 9. This year's model still has the same 108 megapixel sensor, 12 megapixel ultra-wide, 3x and 10x telephoto lenses, and a 40 megapixel selfie camera. Now, all of these fancy terms may not be very important for you. The results are important, and I'm going to talk about that. The improvements are geared towards better portrait blur and edge detection, better low-light performance with Samsung's adaptive pixel technology, and enhanced video performance, which is very important for me. The camera can snap incredible selfies, but what captured my attention the most was the enhanced edge detection. Look at these pictures and you can see the camera did an excellent job, whether indoors or outdoors. The results are excellent. I'm going to do a comparison with the iPhone 13 Pro Max, but before I do that, let's check out some of the pictures that I took with the front camera, including regular shots, wide-angle shots, and close-up macro shots. The Galaxy S22 Ultra's shots are detailed with good exposure, white balance, and a wide dynamic range. Colors are still a bit saturated compared to the iPhone, which has more natural colors in the shots, but you get more pleasant skin tones which are ready for social media. The ultra-wide, main, and telephoto lenses on this camera are just incredible. I mean, this is perhaps the best feature of this phone that you can't find on any other phone, including the iPhone. Look at how crisp and clear these images are at 1x, 3x, and the amazing 10x. Of course, you can also go all the way to 100x, but at that point, it looks more like a water painting and is not usable. In sunny, bright light conditions, you can notice the accurate exposure and wide dynamic range for these shots, and they look incredible. The Galaxy S22 Ultra zoom capabilities are much better than the iPhones at this point. The telephoto lenses also work well for night shots, as you can see in these pictures. I'm zooming in on this local delicacy, and you can see the details are still there at 10x. Night shots have been enhanced with the so-called nightography option, and one of the best ways I like to test camera's low-light performance is by going to the Cheesecake Factory, where their lighting condition is very challenging, even for the most advanced cameras. So check out these shots right here. You can see that the Galaxy S22 Ultra's performance is very good. Color accuracy is pretty good, but sometimes the phone oversaturates the colors just a bit, and that's probably because of the Scene Optimizer mode. Now, Scene Optimizer uses AI to intelligently optimize the shot that you take, but sometimes the phone tends to oversaturate the colors. With that being said, take a look at some of the colors seen here. They are natural, as if you are seeing them in real life. For example, this Lego picture right here is exactly the way you see it in real life. And the same goes for this coffee tray. The colors look accurate in this one too. As for macro shots, you can get incredibly close, like this one here. You can see the tiny details, and for this shot here of my hand, you can see all the tiny details of the skin, and I had no idea that skin had triangular little parts. Welcome to the microscopic world, or should I say the macro world. Even though you get amazing shots with the Galaxy S22 Ultra, I believe the main problem is consistency. Some of the close-up shots might end up being oversaturated, just like this little SD card that I have here. Check out the version on the iPhone, which looks more natural. Now let's do a comparison with the iPhone 13 Pro Max. On the left, we have the image for the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and on the right, we have the image for the Galaxy S22 Ultra. And you can tell by going to the inspector here, so this on the left is a .HEIC, and that's the iPhone format. You can see here, that's the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And this here is the Samsung format, which is a JPG. On the left here, you can notice that the iPhone did a good job, but I like the overall result of the Galaxy for the selfie here. And if you notice, if I zoom in on the iPhone's picture and if I zoom in on the Galaxy's picture, you can see the beard hairs on my face are more detailed than the iPhone. On the iPhone, they look faded away, and that's because on the Galaxy, you have a 40 megapixel selfie camera, and on the iPhone, you have a 12 megapixel camera. So with the Galaxy, you get a better resolution. The skin tone looks perfect. It's ready for social media. This looks better in my opinion. I like the overall result with the Galaxy here. You can see that the lighting and the texture here looks much better on the Galaxy. If you notice here, the lighting looks better. And on the iPhone, it is overexposed a little bit. And on the Galaxy, it looks more natural. It almost looks like DSLR quality, honestly. Look at this. And both phones did a very good job with edge detection, but I believe that the Galaxy S22 Ultra did a better job because the iPhone missed tiny little hair details right here. Overall result, the Galaxy did a better job, and the picture quality on the Galaxy S22 Ultra looks better than that of the iPhone. However, the iPhone's picture also looks great, and both of them are fine, but I prefer the one on the Galaxy. Let me know what you prefer down in the comments below. Next is this picture, and both phones did a really good job. If we zoom in here, and if we zoom in here on the iPhone, on the Galaxy, it's a 108 megapixel sensor, and on the iPhone, it's a 12 megapixel sensor. I'm actually very impressed with the iPhone. I mean, with a sensor that size, it's still able to keep up with the Galaxy. Look at the details here. Even though the Galaxy is slightly sharper than the iPhone, you can see here that the details are a little bit sharper. You get more details on the Galaxy, but the iPhone still did a very good job, and that's because of Apple's magical processing. So there's a lot of processing going on under the hood. And Samsung also doubled down on image processing this year. They both did a good job. However, Samsung's picture is a little darker. You can see here, the iPhone's picture is more natural. This is how it actually looked like. This one was a little bit darker, and I believe both pictures look great. Now, the next photo here is very interesting. Both phones did a good job in reproducing color, but let's zoom in a little bit and see what happens. Notice that with the Galaxy's photo here, you can see more artifacts and more noise than with the iPhone. And I believe that's because Samsung is still using aggressive processing here. I prefer the result on the iPhone. There's some texture instability here, and you can see artifacts on my face. Look at that. On the iPhone, it looks better than on the Galaxy. Even though the iPhone is 12 megapixel and this is 108 megapixel, but you can see that the iPhone did a better job. And also, in terms of color, the iPhone is slightly more accurate in this picture for my shirt. My shirt is not that dark in reality. It's actually this color. So the iPhone got the color of my shirt right. And in terms of image details, the iPhone wins here because it has less artifacts and less noise than the Galaxy. Now, this image is very interesting because this is how I tested low light performance for both phones. You can see the subject here, the little Sonic standing here. Which one looks better to you? Now, Samsung did aggressive processing here, even though the iPhone is noisier, but if you notice, on the iPhone, you still have more details here. Check out the stairs. With Samsung, you have some loss of detail here, but with the iPhone, you have more details. However, it's noisier on the iPhone, and on the Samsung, there's some aggressive processing. Check out the window here. On the iPhone, it's more blown out. Of course, with Samsung's higher resolution, the camera resolution, you can see that the text reads better, service floor. I'm not exactly sure which picture looks better, but each one has advantages and disadvantages. The first thing that I notice immediately on the iPhone is loss of detail here. You can see all this dark area right here has some loss of detail. So now let's talk a little bit about video. And video on the Galaxy S22 Ultra looks great most of the time. However, there is a slight problem. And that problem is noise. Now check out this video right here. It looks beautiful, it looks great. But generally speaking, noise is a problem, still a problem. Ever since the Galaxy S21 Ultra, you will still notice a lot of noise in the videos. And that is a big advantage for the iPhone. This is where the iPhone shines over the Galaxy. But if you look at this 4K video right here, it looks great, and we're going to be testing video stabilization in the next shot. But first, check out the noise that you can see right here at night. For the next shot, I chose the bouncy castle when I went to play with my kid to test the camera. What better way to test the camera than have so many colors around and with challenging light conditions? You can see that the Galaxy S22 Ultra is struggling here, and the iPhone is much more smooth and has much less noise. The noise on the Galaxy S22 Ultra is more visible, and that is a problem. That is the weakness for the Galaxy S22 Ultra. Now, I was hoping that Samsung would get rid of this problem this year. However, video noise is still there. It's a persistent issue, whether daytime or nighttime, and that is the main weakness for the Galaxy S22 Ultra, and that's where the iPhone 13 Pro Max shines. I mean, check out these shots right here. On the right side, you have the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and on the left side, you have the Galaxy S22 Ultra. And you can notice how much noise is generated on the Galaxy shot. On the iPhone, it's much better looking, and even for video stabilization, I noticed that the iPhone is still doing better. Now, video stabilization on the Galaxy S22 Ultra has been enhanced tremendously, but in my opinion, I think for night shots, the iPhone is still king. Also, color accuracy on the iPhone is better than that on the Galaxy. And now let's test video stabilization during daytime on both the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the Galaxy S22 Ultra. And here are the results. One of the biggest enhancements that this phone got this year is video stabilization. Look at this video when I'm walking in the gym, and now I'm going to be running. Check out how stable the video is even when I go faster and faster, and I'm turning right here. Video stabilization on the Galaxy S22 Ultra got much better this year, but in my tests, that was true for daytime shots. As for the selfie camera, this is how it looks like in broad daylight. It's very crisp and very sharp. It's clear. I love the selfie camera on the Galaxy S22 Ultra. In fact, it's better than the iPhone because of the higher resolution. So this is 4K at 60 FPS with the front camera, and this is how it feels like. It's really nice. And let's check the stability. Slow motion on the Galaxy S22 Ultra has been improved, but still it looks grainy. And if you go for the super slow mode, that's even worse. That option should not even exist on a smartphone in 2022. I'm also disappointed that this year's model omitted the logical step up from the S21 Ultra, which has increased FPS for 8K recording. It still has the same 24 FPS for 8K recording, which is completely unusable. 8K recording is just there for show. It's not really usable. However, there's a positive side to this though. Samsung seems to have taken its time to perfect existing technology with better optimizations rather than rushing a half-baked product such as the under-display camera found on the Galaxy Fold phones. However, I'd say that Samsung's camera setup is the best so far on any Android smartphone. That's because you get excellent versatility with all of the lenses. If it weren't for the video recording capabilities for the iPhone, which I consider to be king, I think this phone would be the best phone overall with the camera experience. Now, Samsung's video quality is not as good as iPhone's video quality, but it has improved a lot this year. One of the coolest and most useful features that I've found on Galaxy devices is the ability to charge another device, such as this Galaxy Watch, wirelessly. This feature is called wireless power sharing. In fact, it's actually wireless reverse charging. So, all what you have to do in order to activate this feature is to swipe downwards to open the notification panel like this, and then tap the wireless power sharing icon to activate it, which is found right here. Now the phone says that it's ready to charge, and you have to put the center of your phone back to back with another device. So put the phone on its belly like this, get the other device, which is this Galaxy Watch 4. This supports wireless charging, and then place the device back to back. And there you go. This is really, really cool, man. You can charge your devices, or you can even charge another phone. The extra dim feature found on the Galaxy devices is an awesome feature that I use every night. This is not found on the iPhone. You can dim the screen beyond the minimum brightness setting for a more comfortable viewing experience while scrolling through your phone in the dark. As for battery life, this phone comes with a 5000 mAh battery, which is not surprising. Now, my experience so far was meh, I thought it's going to be better than this, especially when you compare it to the iPhone. The iPhone's battery life is stunning. It easily lasts a day. With the Galaxy, it lasts about 6 to 7 hours for me. I am a power user. I thought I'd be getting much better battery performance this year. Samsung also added 45-watt fast charging, which is a significant upgrade. And that's about it, guys. The Galaxy S22 Ultra, in my opinion, is the best Android phone that you can get your hands on right now. The pros include an excellent camera system, even though the video is still not on par with the iPhone. However, the rest of the features for the camera setup, the camera experience and versatility are just incredible on this phone. Overall, this phone takes better shots than the iPhone, in my opinion. The screen is just amazing. It's the best screen that you can get on a phone right now. And also, the S Pen experience. I love this. This is very useful, believe it or not. A lot of people think that it's not, but once you try this, it's very useful. Now let's talk about the cons. I think the major con for this phone is the battery life. I thought it was not that great compared to the iPhone. The iPhone has a better battery life. And then video capabilities. Although they were improved this year, still video is not as good as the iPhone, especially when it comes to noise and low light performance. The iPhone is king in video when it comes to lower noise and better low light performance. This is Adam Lash, and thank you guys for watching this video. If you like this video, give it a like, and if you really like this video, subscribe to this channel. Have a great day.